Hey guys, how you doing? And welcome back to another video. I know it's been a very long time, but today I want to speak about something which is important, a word that we use so commonly, and that is the word love, and about growing in true love. And so firstly, when we say the word love, there is this common misunderstanding that comes with it. So a lot of us may think that love is an emotion, love is a feeling. And yes, it is emotion, it is a feeling. We can feel love towards someone, we can have this emotion of love, but it's not just that. The problem that we do is restrict love to just a pure emotion. Well, in fact, love is more than that. Love is a way of life, it's a way of living. And so today I want to speak about living the way of love, living a life of love. And so to do this, I want to first of all read what St. Paul says in his letter to the Corinthians. So St. Paul says that love is patient, love is kind, love is not envious or boastful or arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes in all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. So firstly, love is patient. So what does it mean to be patient? To be patient means to wait. It is in fact an act of discernment. Discernment is about taking your time and before you enter into something of that requires your commitment. So love is a commitment. So it's about discerning and being patient as you enter into this commitment. And so something that I want to speak about love, especially when it comes to being patient, is that it's not just about being patient on someone else, taking your time on someone else, but it requires patience on yourself. You need to love yourself first. You need to be patient with yourself first. Because when you enter into a relationship where your commitment is needed, especially when you're looking into marriage, in order to love that person, you need to be able to prepare yourself first to love your spouse. And so when we say love is patient, it's about being patient on ourselves and in building ourselves and preparing ourselves with the grace of God to be able to love the person whom we have to love, whom we are being called to love, who we are being drawn to love. Secondly, love is kind. To be kind is to be generous. It is in fact an act of mercy. And this mercy that we show cannot be shown just on our own human efforts, but it is something that can be only done through grace given by God, because Jesus himself shows mercy. Jesus himself is mercy. And so to be able to show kindness to others, we need to draw on this grace that is given by God, which is mercy. And this mercy is so incredibly important when it comes to relationships, because it is in this mercy we show forgiveness. Through mercy, we learn to forgive. And this is, of course, an essential element when it comes to loving. Then St. Paul says that love is not envious, love is not boastful. So in other words, there is this element of humility in love. And so love shouldn't be about self-gain. So when we are trying to love someone, we shouldn't have this intention that we are loving them in order to seek their approval, in order to have their recognition. But in fact, there needs to be humility in that when we love them, we are pointing towards God. Our love in loving someone, in loving our spouse, in loving our friends, it should point towards God. And when we love them thanking God for this person in our lives. And so love is about giving God the glory. And so that's why we are not to boast in love, because love does not come from our own efforts. We don't receive love just purely because of how we are, but we receive love and we are able to give love because God has given us that gift of love. And so when we love someone, when we love our spouse, our friends, our family, we are pointing ultimately towards God, and we are saying to the Lord in this act of love, we are saying, thank you, Jesus, for this person. Thank you for this relationship that you have given me. So love is ultimately also, in through its humility, an act of worship towards God as well. St. Paul then says that love is not irritable and it's not resentful. So in other words, love is forgiving. It's about having this understanding that we are not perfect human beings, that we are imperfect and that we have weaknesses. But it's not about ignoring those weaknesses and just looking at the good side of a person, but it's about loving them as they are, as a person, as they come. And it is about being able to understand their imperfections, being able to understand their weaknesses, and being able to work with them, journeying with the person in their weakness, with their weaknesses, with their imperfections. Because, my dear friends, if we are only focused on the good side of one person and we ignore their weaknesses, then relationships won't last. Because in a loving relationship, you're not always going to have a high moment. You're going to have many low moments. You're going to have moments of trouble, of difficulty, where you have to accept the weaknesses of each other, accept the imperfections of each other. But if we do not learn to work with them, then that relationship will crumble. It won't sustain. And so love is about not being resentful against the weaknesses of each other, but it's about being able to say, I accept you as you are, as you come, in your weakness, in your imperfection, and I am ready to work with you in that. And so it is through this we then recognize that we have a commitment towards this person. Finally, St. Paul says that love bears all things, believes all things, hopes in all things, and endures all things. And so when we think about the word endurance, when we are enduring something, it means that we are trying to commit ourselves to something and stay with something that is quite challenging, that is very difficult. And when I think of the word endurance, I think of Christ and his passion. Jesus endured the cross. He carried the cross, because it was the necessary sacrifice that he had to make for the whole of humanity. And so when we are in a relationship and when we are trying to love our spouse or love our family, there is this element of endurance in it. We need to be able to endure loving this person, because it is challenging, especially when it comes to marriage. Like I said earlier, we have to face their weaknesses. We have to face the imperfections in the relationship. And so that requires endurance. And I want to, say something, repeat something that St. Paul says. St. Paul says, husbands, love your wives like Christ loves the church. So how did Christ love the church? Christ loved the church. We see that through the cross. He died for the church. He sacrificed himself for the church. And so when we are enduring, we're also sacrificing. And so if you want to truly love your spouse, love the people around you, love your family and friends, there is an element of sacrifice involved. And that is love in its purest form, through sacrifice. So guys, I hope you have had a good understanding, or a better understanding of what love is. Like I said, love isn't just a pure emotion. It's not just a pure feeling, but it is a way of life. It is a way of living. So thank you so much, guys, for listening. I hope you have a great day. God bless.